Oi,
Hi,
how you doing?
I am cool. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Say about earlier, I was like doing a little something there. Because I literally like got up like about 2 hours ago, I think. No, an hour ago.
Oh, okay.
Hmm?
Oh, gosh. Well, when the body needs this sleep, it will take it.
I tell you. And lately I've been sleeping very, very late.
Hmm.
Part of
Okay.
the reason is because I've been like mixing music.
Right.
And other times it's just that I've been sleeping like a lot later than usual.
Okay.
Why? Yeah, so usually I was being in bed by 4, fall asleep 5.
AM?
Yeah.
Damn.
Now I'm going to bed in like 9 o'clock. As late as
What?
9 o'clock. Yeah.
Wow,
I
that's
fix that.
crazy.
Yeah, I need to fix that before I get back into work. Cause I
Yeah.
and
Reset that clock.
yeah, on vacation I tried to do as much as I could.
Right. That's
Nice.
good. At least you're productive.
Yeah,
Great.
trying. I still
Yeah.
I still going hard on myself though because I find I'm not doing enough.
Nah, don't be hard on yourself.
Yeah, even though I do that a lot already, but I still like, yo, I need to do more, I need to do more.
Nah, don't be hard on yourself at all. Yeah.
That's why I start journalizing my tasks now so I wouldn't feel as bad.
Right. Yeah. You'll see the progress.
Yeah, like as I don't 10 stuff to do a day usually, and
Mm,
wherever we do, I mark it down.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how are you?
I'm pretty great. How about you?
I'm okay. Just taking it one day at a time.
Nice. So everybody, this is a friend, good friend, Nysus, aka B.Shuga. Tell
Hi.
everybody, what do you do and who you are?
Well, who I am, that question alone is for some of the greatest philosophers of all time. But my name is Arlene Nisus, and I do many things. So professionally, I am an occupational health nurse, which means that I provide nursing for workers, and well, I work at a university, so I provide nursing in the university, and our main objective is basically to make sure people don't get sick, so to prevent illness. I also have a company, a startup company called Nice Us Geriatric Home Care Training and Agency Limited, where I teach persons how to care for the elderly, and then I place caregivers in persons' private homes so that they can take care of the elderly. Because whilst I was working as a registered nurse in a hospital, I saw a lot of elderly abuse, and I decided to put an end to it. And so I started my own company doing that. Um, I am also a fitness enthusiast, and I am actually a certified fitness instructor, AFAA trained. And I'm a bodybuilder, body sculptor, right? So I lift weights. Some people are intimidated by me, but I'm cool. It's just, I don't know my own strength sometimes. I, I am also a singer and songwriter. I would be comfortable in like G major, and I write mostly neo soul, calypso. For those of you who know, calypso comes from Trinidad, and it has been um, reinvented by one called Calypso Rose. She sang at Coachella. They say that's how they pronounce it, Coachella.
Yeah, Coachella, yeah.
Coachella. So she is one of the very few Caribbean. I don't know if there has ever been another Caribbean artist at Coachella. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
Not sure, but she made it to Coachella, Calypso Rose, and she went platinum in Europe. So I do calypso, I write soca, and I I started off with dancehall, but I no longer do that because I went on an interview once and the guy didn't find I was dressed sexy enough for a dancehall artist. And that really turned me off. And then I started to search as to what do I really want in music. And I realized that dancehall was not for me. So I switched up. And now I'm sticking with mostly neo soul, Afrobeats. I also do the calypso and soca, as I said. And I am going to dabble in some reggae soon.
That is awesome. That is a lot.
Yeah.
That's still awesome.
Yeah.
So I might as well start off with the nursing situation. Concerning how you start off your own business, right?
Mm-hmm.
How what situation that made you realize that I need to like do something about the elderly being in a treated situation?
Well, do your listeners have strong stomachs?
Yes, some should be. And if they don't, that is their fault.
Well, so I worked as a registered nurse in a hospital for 13 years. 9 years, sorry, of course, for 9 years. Before I specialized, during my specialization, right? But whilst working in the hospital, we would have elderly patients being brought in that were abused by their relatives. And they were abused, not beat up, not bruises and so on. No. The abuse would be that the relatives would refuse to give them food or drink or water. And why they will do this is so that the elderly will get sick and they will have an excuse to bring them in the hospital and they wouldn't have to take care of their elderly patients, their elderly relatives. There was this one gentleman, that's sick. That's like sick. And what I really hated is that we didn't have a system in place where we could report these people, report them, and get them locked up because that's abuse. That is abuse. I don't care how old, whether you're 1 year old or 99 years old. If you are not feeding someone and they can't literally get up and get the food for themselves, that is horrible. And yet we would do our best and then take care of these elderly people. Some of them die, some of them lived, and they would have to go back to the same homes that these people came from. Although we can't prove really that they were being starved, but if someone comes in and they are dehydrated, that means they weren't getting enough liquids. And if they cannot get up off the bed and go and get it, the assumption is that somebody didn't give them it. Right? But you will have to prove now that they actually did it. And we are nurses, we're not detectives. Right? But there was one situation, one elderly gentleman, he came into the hospital. He had moss on his hands. Like moss. Like moss that you will find on the ground. He had moss on his hands. He had worms in his gum. So when his mouth couldn't close. So he had a shit full of worms living, wiggling, coming from his mouth. They were literally burrowing into his gum and they were living inside of his mouth because he had some dental cavities. So they were living inside his mouth. And yeah. And he had ulcer on his penis. I don't know if I could say that word, sorry. But his feces was so hard on his buttocks that it was literally stuck on. It was like another layer of skin. And I had to bathe this man. Yeah, I had to bathe this man, and I had to do everything in my power not to cry whilst I am bathing this man. And tears running down his eyes. because he knows exactly what is going on. And this is the thing. People think that old people are just crazy. They know exactly what is going on. And sometimes the issues with communication, that's the thing. But they know what's going on. And I picked 32 worms out of his mouth. I literally had to use a tweezer and pull it out. Some fell into his mouth. He swallowed it. Some I couldn't get them because like every time I tried to get them, they would go deeper into his skull, like go deeper into his gum. So I couldn't pull them out. And I cooked about 32 worms from his mouth. And the second time I came and I beat him, I got 15 out the next day. When I came to work, I got 15 out. Yeah. And we had to decide. We use a powder called Negasat. It's usually, that's a deadly powder. You don't use that on humans. But the doctor said if the worms continue, they will kill him. So we had to make the decision, and we used the Negasat powder, the powder that you use on horses. We use that in his mouth. And it killed all the worms. He got back nice and healthy. He was thick. You know, we get him back thick with 2 C's because when he came in, he was like bones, and we got him back healthy and so on. Well, not miraculously healthy. I mean, he's still old, but, you know, he was looking much better than he came in. And he had to go right back to the family member that he came from. And when I saw that, I was like, hell no, I'm going to do something about this. And I started asking the universe, like, what can I do? And I started seeking answers, and the answers came. I saw an opportunity in 2015 to join. There was an advertisement for a program called IBIS program. So what they do, it's an incubator program. That means that they take people with business ideas and they teach them how to start a business and groom them into starting a business and launching a business. And then they help them with funding and help the person go on to start their own business. And I think it's an excellent idea. I was one of a few persons who was selected to do the program. And basically, they taught us how to write a business plan in 6 months. So every month you had an element of the business plan. And the very first month we started off with personal development. And then we did customer care service. We did I think marketing, all these things, right? And unfortunately, the plan was crushed by the government now, but that whole program was crushed by the government. It was abandoned by the government, but it was an absolutely great program. And that when I completed it, it culminated with a rocket pitch, and you have to make your own business plan, right? And I did it, and I did my rocket pitch, and they would score you out of 100. And the pass mark was 60. You have to make more than 60 to pass. And I got 53 out of 100. And the coordinators were like, well, do you want to do it over? And I said, nah, I'm going to do it on my own. And I opened my company, and I used up all my savings, and I got back pay, and I used my back pay, and I took credit cards, and oh my goodness, I was so pumped. And the company crashed and burned in 2 months. Crashed and burned. Yeah. Like, I was so much in debt, it wasn't even funny. I was like, I got into $200,000 in debt. Yeah. A debt I am still paying off today. Yeah. All because I refused to go back and do the business plan over. And I tell myself, nah, I could make it work. But it was a blessing in disguise, because I learned so much in those 2 months. I was literally doing every single thing I could to keep my company alive. And It's like different things. I started meeting people. A lady just walked into the store, and she saw me speak at they had some local government reform consultations, and she saw that I was there speaking, and she found me. I don't know how, and she just walked in the store, and she is a well, she was a PhD student back then, and she wanted to get some information as to why did I voice my views as I did at the consultations, right? And she's like, so what do you do here? And I'm like, well, I teach persons how to care for the elderly, and I have some things for sale and stuff. And she's like, well, where's the class? And I'm like, well, I don't have any students yet. I'm trying to get as many students as I can. And she's like, you have a huge room here. Because the place was huge. I was paying $6,000 a month in rent. And no one was in it. I got no students, nobody. And she's like, why don't you just go to one of the secondary schools that is up there and see if you could rent a classroom from them and you teach in the classroom? And I was like, wow, that's such a great idea. I never thought about that. So when when I had to give up the place that I was renting, I eventually ran out of money. And I did that. I absolutely did that. And now COVID shut down things again. But when I started back classes, I was renting a classroom for $300 a session, which is absolutely great because $1,200 versus $6,000, because it was a great savings. So even though there was loss, there was great gain in experience, gain in knowledge, gain in, wisdom, because I think wisdom is like active knowledge, like knowledge that you tested and you get it good and you get it bad, and so you become wise. That's what I would call, that's what I would call wisdom. Knowledge is not enough. You have to get that failure in order to enjoy that experience. So many people, shun at failure and they're like, oh my goodness, it's bad to fail. Okay, so in school, you had to do A's and you have to get 100 out of 100 to be good. In real life, you have to fail in order to be wise. So failure is good. So, and that was my experience with the business. I mean, we're still growing. We have a lot of work still to do, but the main objective is to eradicate elder abuse. No, I think it is. I'm very passionate about it. I think it is an absolute horrific circumstance that there are human beings out there who are okay with hurting the elderly when you yourself are going to get old someday. And it's like they don't do it for spite. It's not like they're old for spite. No one wants to get old. Like, it's just a part of life. And punishing them for being old is not nice. And so this is one of my main goals. One of my passions and a purpose I see in this life to, rally against elderly, and because our elderly populations, they're growing a lot. Yeah.
Wow. Like, that story almost made me cry, honestly, because it was like, it was really that bad. That make you like, what trigger a sense in you to do something about it?
Because I couldn't beat up the guy, so it's like I really wanted to hit him because he's like, he's complaining. It's him alone taking care of that was his uncle, so him alone taking care of his uncle, and it's like, but you're not even taking care of him. He has worms in his mouth, though. Like, if you have worms in your mouth, you can't feed someone. When last did you check on this person? And that's to tell you how much determination that person had to live. Because you literally have, well, I can't imagine having one worm in my mouth, much less more than about 50, because I pulled out 32. Oh, it's horrible. That was, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, like, if that happened and I just turned a blind eye and something was wrong with me, that happened for a reason. I met that person for a reason, because that patient could have gone to any ward, and he came on my ward, and I knew that was it. That was the last straw. That was the proverbial drop in the bucket, because I kept seeing the elderly abuse, and I was like complaining, and then when he happened, I was like, nah, I have to do something about this. Yeah.
Wow. It's really crazy.
Craziness.
And it's true that at least in America, at least what I noticed, they actually like kind of have programs similar to what I was doing. But Trinidad don't really have a program like that. So hearing that coming from you, that would be a really amazing thing. Like if this could branch off to like a bigger thing, and I know it will. Yeah. Yeah, and also like the whole failure aspect of what you was talking about. That is like one of the realest topics you ever bring across too, because as I in the music industry and also doing a whole bunch of other side business ideas, I also related to a couple of failures. And what more ironic is that I also wrote a song called Failure, where I'm basically not using mistakes and all these stuff I went through to let me know that I is a failure, but I have to keep pushing on. And also like for other people who also feel like it. But it's on the next EP I dropping later next year. So that whole failure aspect is like, yo, it's something that must happen. Like it always have people who promoting this myth about people who go into entrepreneurship go make it right away, and that is not true. Like you have to fail, you will lose money. Like I lost a lot of money doing music. Like in days, a lot of money doing past business ideas, a lot of money lost in investment, and it's not as glamorous as people think.
And I never see it as a loss, because in life, everything is balanced. You cannot have day without the night. You cannot have up without the down. And so success, you must have failure, and in failure, you must have success. So that when there is failure, it is just a lesson. It's just a lesson. It only becomes what we traditionally call failure when you refuse to learn from it. If you refuse to learn from it, then it becomes a failure. But if you learn from it and you use your knowledge in order to become wise and improve, and it's a benefit, it's a gain, it's great. But again, we have been brainwashed in school, because in school, I remember, people getting licks. I getting licks for not doing well, for not being a top student, and the top student was honored across everyone. In fact, I was one of the top students in school, in secondary school. I won awards for being the best student in the entire school in certain subjects. And that damaged me so much, because coming out in the real world now, I couldn't accept failure. I couldn't accept doing things, or I wanted to do everything for myself. And that's one of the worst poisons as an entrepreneur. I had to retrain myself, trying not to do everything for myself. I had to retrain myself thinking I am the best there is. I'm not. The best entrepreneur, the most successful business owner knows that the best people are the people that can do everything that you can't. Surround yourself with people who can do what you cannot. And for people who were A+ achievers in school, just hearing the fact that somebody better than them, it's a huge hit to your ego. so that the ones who make the D's and the F's and so on, it's easy for them to say, hey, come on board, let's do this together and gather a team. It's a little bit easier for them. And I wouldn't say all, everybody different, but it's a lot easier for them because they didn't have that pressure of scoring high all the time. For some people who were A pushers and always getting first place in school and awards and so on like that, it's a little bit more difficult asking for help because they're so accustomed being that academic, being that one to shine and so on. And it is crippling. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you need a strong team. You need that strong team. You need people smarter than you on your side. You need people money. You need other people to invest in you. And this is what will make your business grow and prosper and multiply and just take off. Yeah.
Wow. Amazing stuff.
Yeah. So.
I had like this is like why I love like talking to business-minded people, especially with this kind of energy, because it's always have like the hardship parts, but it's like you're making the best out of it.
Yep.
I was gonna say, one thing like what I always admire about you, what is always giving motivation is like when you post gym pics and stuff. And what got you into fitness?
Well, that would start when I was about 11 years old. So I was a little chubby one when I was young, and I was fat. And the children in primary school, that would be what grade? What grade that would be? Like 8, 7? I don't know. But they would make fun of me. They would laugh at me and so on. But I was still popular because I was a bright kid in school. So I was really popular, and then I would sing calypso for carnival. So everybody knew Arlene, But when it came to playing games, I was the last one chosen. Like I would be, we playing our little catch game, and I'll be like there, and then nobody wants to pick me. And then, when the game started, they would catch me first and put me in jail quick, and then they would start to play the game because I used to slow down everybody. Right. I also remember trying to try out for the netball game, the netball side, and the coach told me, no, I'm too fat. I was like, damn. The coach told a 9-year-old child, no, you can't join, you're too fat. I was like, damn. So, yeah. So I didn't really pay much attention to it as in primary school because I was still getting that popularity, right? Because of Alina's the bright kid. But then when I passed, well, back then it was common entrance. So when I passed that exam and I was transitioning to high school now, I was like, oh my goodness, there's a lot of people, I don't know them, and I'm fat, I can't do this. And I decided to exercise, but I wouldn't really exercise that much. I had to walk to school. Ever since I know myself, I've been walking to school. So I had to walk to school. But what I would do, I would eat less. So I would eat less. So mom would she would ask me if I want food, and I'll just eat less. And I'll be walking to school, and then I'll still be active. I'll play basketball, and I just lost the weight. And since I was that age, I always had this mindset that I will never be fat again because I was scarred as a child with little children just making fun of me. So, I was a teenage mom. I forgot to mention that. And at 18, I had my first child. At 19, I had my second child. And then at 24, I had my third child, right? And the last one, I actually was with a pretty abusive guy. And the last one, when I met him, a week later, his dad came into the room and he was like, "Why is your belly looking so?" I was like, "But I just make a child." He's like, "No, no, 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 get rid of that, get rid of that." I was like, "Are you ridiculous? I just made a child. I don't care. Get rid of that belly. I don't like how it looking." I was like, "Okay." Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
That's another topic all on its own, but that actually motivated me to start gymming. And I started walking at first, like power walking and stuff. And then I started the gym and I was pretty into it. And then I lost too much weight. I didn't like how I was looking. I was too slim and I never liked that slim look, because for those, well, they can't see me, but I'm a bit curvy, right? So I have a lot of hips and a bit of boomsy. So, I lost all of that, right? And I didn't like how I was looking, so I stopped. And it took me a while to start back gaining back my weight. Um, and then I thought that I gained it a little too much. So back in 2018, I actually started a relationship with someone who actually lifts weight and does weightlifting. And I started lifting weights as well and restarted it actually. And now I am much more into it. Well, I'm a certified fitness instructor. Well, I'm a trained fitness instructor. I have to renew my certification. But what I learned is that you have to eat appropriately whilst you are lifting weights. So that's what I did wrong in the beginning. So now I eat a lot of protein. I don't eat much these days. I'm thinking about doing a cut, but I eat protein and I eat healthy, and then I take different supplements in order to help me along my fitness goals. And it's really a lifestyle change because I actually love it. Like, I love lifting weights. It's amazing. And I like the reaction where the new fellas, where have new guys coming in the gym and they're like, "Oh, look at it. They're watching, man. They just scope them out, and then they realize I pick up the like 30 pound dumbbells. I'm like, "What this?" And they watch me like, "What the hell?" And they see me stacking on plates, and they're like, they literally move away from me. Yeah, because they don't want to, because they can't live like how I live. But that's because I've been doing this consistently for the last 2 years. For a new guy coming in the gym, of course, he wouldn't have the definition that I have, or he wouldn't be able to lift the weights that I lift. But for a guy, that's an ego thing, he would feel a house. But I still get a little thrill off that. I laugh at myself, Yeah, but I love fitness. It is a great passion. I'm actually thinking about doing a career change, and I have a lot of soul searching to do where it concerns what I want to do to make money for the rest of my life. Because I think I'm outgrowing the nursing. I loved it. I love it still, but I see my philosophy is this: that life, you only have one. You don't know where you're going next. So no limitations. If I wake up one day and I want to be a teenage mutant ninja turtle, then why not? So I am just looking at my options. And because I'll be 40 next year, right? Like 40. And yeah.
That's so unbelievable, by the way. Because you look 20.
And it's like my life, the majority of my life has been dedicated to my children. And I love that. And I'm very proud at their accomplishments. And I'm thinking the sky is the limit now, So actually there are no limits. There's not even a limit. So it's a matter of thinking about what I want to do and just try things. I mean, a lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves because of their responsibilities, because of their bills and their debts and the people that they have to take care of. And yes, it's true. You have your responsibilities, you have debts, you have bills. But that shouldn't be what life is about. I mean, I I cannot conceptualize the human body being so miraculously like perfect in in some situations. Like you can think in nanoseconds. Like different systems work in the blink of an eye, right? And yet I am born to go to school, go to work, make children, get married, retire and die. So what did my boss was born to do? It doesn't sit well with me, and I don't subscribe to that. I believe that life is about experiences. Experiences is the only thing that we take from this earth. Think about it. You leave your flesh, your whole body is a shell, it stays here. All your possessions stay here. The only thing that you take is your memory. That's the only thing you take, your experiences. So why am I building experiences that I hate in a job that I hate, doing shit that I hate, trying to impress people that I don't like, just for what? Hell no. I'm gonna live my life though. So so I just trying out stuff. I'm just trying out stuff and seeing what I like. I've done acting, I've done singing, I've done hosting. You know, I've traveled, not as much as I wanted to, but I did. So it's like go out and do stuff too. People have too many you're too hard on yourself. A lot of people just so hard on themselves, and it's like just live. Like just one day, just say shit that, and just lie down and do nothing. Like one day, just lie down and just do nothing. I did that once, and it was so much fun. I did absolutely nothing for the day, and I loved it. I loved it. Life is about experiences. It's about being happy. It's just about living in the moment. It's so yummy. I love living. I love life. It's just like, oh, it's so wonderful. Yeah.
Wow, exactly. Like that how I try to live like as of let's see. You can say as of last year, like not really last year, like when I was in Trinidad for like the year, that when I decided to like, you know what, I need to like live. Like actually live. Like I need to stop focusing on all the bad stuff and just start doing my best. And also speaking about the fitness, before I move on, what advice you have for somebody to lose weight?
The first thing is
lose weight. Well, not lose weight, but lose the belly.
You have to lose fat all around. That's a misconception that people have, that you could just lose the belly. You see, losing fat on your belly is one of the hardest things to do because your core stabilizes everything. So your core works the hardest in your body. Your core works everything. Like if you're sitting down, your core is working. If you're lying down, your core is working. If you're walking, your core is working. You usually see great results in your biceps and your triceps when you start to work out in the gym, because your bicep and your tricep muscles don't really do shit. The muscles that work the hardest are your legs and your core. Your upper body don't really do that much. So one thing I have had great success in with regards to losing belly fat is that you have to retrain your metabolic rate. And one of the ways you do that is with what you eat first thing in the morning. So when you wake up in the morning, you start to secrete a hormone. Is it a hormone? Called ghrelin. I think it's a hormone or enzyme. I can't remember which one. Sorry about that. But It's called ghrelin, and it makes you feel
It's
hungry.
okay.
And also, you would start to secrete a stress hormone as well if you eat sugar. So the thing is, when you wake up in the morning and you're prepared for the day of work, your body needs to be fed. You need to eat within 1 hour of awakening. The thing is that from caveman days, the body has the body has evolved in such a way that that if you don't eat within 1 hour of awakening, whether it be 9 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning, or whatever time of the day, when you after you sleep 8 hours and you wake up, if you don't eat within 1 hour, the body starts to store fat, right? Yeah, it will store because
What?
based on evolution, the body now thinks that you are going into starvation mode and that there is nothing to eat. So it literally, you are training it to store the fat, to store, right? So that as you wake up in the morning or whatever time you wake up from sleeping 6 to 8 hours, try to eat within 1 hour of being up. That's one way in order to change your metabolic rate. So your metabolic rate is the rate at which you use the nourishments that you have, right? You want to get your body in such a way that it burns food, it burns if the food that you use and not store it. So that's what you're looking at where metabolism and metabolic rate is concerned. What you eat in the morning or for breakfast, which is breaking fast, is very important as well. Now we have three major nutrients. We have carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Carbohydrates is the easiest to get fuel for the body. The body is lazy. The body will take the easiest way it can in order to get food, in order to get nourishment for it. Fats are a little bit harder to break down, but you can get nourishment from it. Proteins are really hard. They will not use proteins unless you are starving. So what the trick is, when you wake up in the morning, do not give the body carbohydrates. Why? Because now if you don't give the body carbohydrates, which is an easy source of fuel, the body now has to find another fuel in order to work. It would not use the proteins because it's difficult to use the proteins. So it would use the fat. And if you don't give it fat, where does it get fat? In the stomach. Your stomach is, everyone has a perfect six-pack in their stomach. Everyone. Because that's how the muscles in your stomach are lined up in a nice 8-pack actually. That's how it lined up. But what covers it is the fat. It's called, the layer of fat is called an omentum, and it covers the muscles. So if you don't give yourself carbohydrates in the morning, the body is going to attack those fat stores in order to get fuel for the body to run for the rest of the day, well, throughout the day. And so every time you wake up, remember, with the body, it deals with habits. So every time you wake up, you eat broccoli and tuna, or you eat egg and steamed body, or you eat a salad with some walnuts or something like that. It must be a protein, and you have a high fiber, low carb meal. So salads are high in fiber, but they're low in carbohydrates. Broccoli, high in fiber, but low in carbohydrates. And then you have your protein as well, because the protein would help you stay full for longer. And the protein is important for muscle growth. And where you have muscle, muscle will help you burn fat even when you are not working out. So when you increase your proteins, not just meat, but plant-based proteins, you in fact would create more muscle when you're working out in the gym, and that will make you burn fat whilst you're not working out. So you have to change your whole breakfast. If you want to eat carbohydrates, eat it in the middle of the day or at a time where you're fully up and you're going to burn the most amount of energy. So you can leave your carbohydrate meal probably just before you go to gym. Yeah, eat carbs before you go to gym because you're not gonna get muscle growth if you don't eat carbs, right? I don't mean to eat a whole cake, but but you can eat your brown rice, you can eat your sweet potato, you can eat your provisions, things like that are really, really good to lose the belly fat. Do not eat bread for breakfast. Do not eat oats for breakfast. Do not eat fruits or smoothies for breakfast at all, at all, at all, at all, at all. For breakfast,
Wow.
steamed or sauteed broccoli, and you can eat a few boiled eggs, or you can eat a salad with lettuce and cucumbers, and you can eat tuna, or you can eat fish or chicken or anything like that. Once it is a high fiber vegetable, green leafy vegetable, or and some type of protein, and you will see, do it consistently, spruce it up a bit, because I don't believe in eating food you don't like. So spruce it up a bit, just no carbohydrates, because when you eat the carbohydrates, you'll get an insulin spike. And that insulin spike will cause you to release that stress hormone I was talking about. And the stress hormone makes you get belly fat. So that's another tip too. Keep the stress levels low, or else your belly will get big. Yeah. Yeah.
That is awesome. That is one thing I always heard. That is usually morning, like not early morning, but when you eat, the first thing you eat, that is really the most important when it comes to
and then too, with belly fat
loss.
now, again, everybody has a perfect 8-pack in their stomach. It's just the fat, it's like an apron of fat covering it. And the only way to get rid of that is decrease the calories. So you eat less and you work out more. You can do all the sit-ups you want. Abs are made in the kitchen. And there's an age-old, there's a old adage, and it's really, really true. At any time you want that tummy to go down, you have to eat less and you have to work out more. But the breakfast really helps retrain your metabolic rate so that you burn fat whilst you're not even burning fat, whilst you're not in the gym working out. And also smaller portions. So the less you eat, the better. At a time. Yeah, smaller portions at a time. You can just, like if you make lunch, I usually split it in half. So I would make lunch, like a bowl of food, and at 11 a.m. I would eat half, and then at 1 p.m. I'll eat the next half. So if you train your body to eat every 3 to 5 hours, it literally gets into a pattern of, wait a minute, I'm not going to get much food. I only get enough food to last me 5 hours. I got to burn this. It gets you into that pattern of, it gets the body, into the pattern of burning food instead of storing. When you eat a lot of food at one time, it says, oh my goodness, this is too much food. I don't need so much fuel, and it stores. When you give it only enough fuel for 3 to 5 hours, it will realize that every 3 to 5 hours it needs food, and it will keep on burning what it has. Yeah. So don't overeat. Don't eat to the point where you're fully stuffed. And if I know some people love that feeling, well, in order to get back that feeling of being fully stuffed, you eat less and then you drink a whole set of water after. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, that time flying fast, buddy. That is actually a question because that one of my goals is to lose the belly fat. Getting closer, but I just wanted to know like extra tips on how
the
to like
breakfast, and
speed up the process
you will
and
see
also
results in
that's
like
oh
3 weeks when you change your breakfast. I did that same strategy, changing breakfast with my daughter, and she lost 4 inches in one
mm,
month. Literally 4 inches off her stomach in one month.
wow.
For one, I did as well lose inches off my stomach. I would attest it anytime. That's like my testimony. I tell everyone because Nestle doesn't want you to know the secret. People don't want people to know the secret because they have their breakfast cereal to sell. Eating cereal in the morning is like poison. That's the worst thing you can do. Anything sugary, anything
Mm,
flour, anything like that, any empty carbs, it's the worst. You're literally training your body to store fat.
mm,
Yeah. Nah, don't do it.
mm.
Yeah. Salads and boiled egg or
Wow.
salads and any kind of, even if it could be bacon and salad for like it, as long as it's not so keto diet for breakfast,
Mm,
basically. Mm-hmm.
mm.
Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome. Now, almost an
Yeah.
hour. I had to ask one more question before
Oh my
you had
goodness.
to put it up because I have
I
so much
talk
things I
too
wanted to
much.
ask. We definitely have to do our next episode. Um, what
Well,
made
in
you pick
school,
B.Shuga?
I used to call myself Brown Sugar, and I heard that there was a DJ named Brown Sugar, so I had to change it, and then I changed my name just to the B.Shuga. I changed spelling everything, and then recently, that would have been in
Mm,
2014. The same producer I dealt with for Love Zone, his name is Black Sheep from Jamaica. He said that there's a roots reggae artist called B.Shuga
mm,
in Jamaica. So you say if you are attempting to put your music anywhere in Jamaica, you wouldn't be able to use that name because she's had that name for a while. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then he was like, well, use your surname. Your surname is cool, Nysus. I was like, but I wanted to separate myself from the music because um, I I I was a kind
mm,
of I was kind of ashamed of my music, especially with the dancehall side. And then being a registered nurse, you kind of have this professional look to you. And then it was a bit of a battle to
mm.
myself, like to change. And I decided, you know what? This is me. I've always been like two sides to a coin. I'll be the good girl in school and then I'll be on the court smoking and hanging with the boys and so on. I've always had that kind of dark side, light side personality, and I was like, you know what? That's okay. So I was releasing little edgy songs in the dancehall, and I told myself as well I wanted to change my my music to neo soul. So I did the change with Nysus. But when I was a kid, I don't know why. I just started with Brown Sugar and it translated to B.Shuga and now it's Nysus. Yeah.
Wow. Now, I think basically almost time. I don't think I have any more questions or we could like fill it up in time. So let
Mm-hmm.
everyone know where they
Well,
can find
on
you.
Facebook, it is Nysus, Nysus B.Shuga, B.Shuga. On Instagram, it's the same, Nysus_B.Shuga, G as in gun, G-A. On YouTube, it is B.Shuga as in the normal spelling of sugar, B-S-U-G-A-R, B.Shuga 500 biker 4 number 4 life. I was a little bit edgy back then. And that's basically it.
Nice. Well,
Nice being here.
Shugs, nice having you here. Always great to hear your voice. It has so much more like we need to talk about like on the podcast, but I definitely would be interested in doing a
Okay,
part two
great.
whenever we can.
Yes.
That'll be awesome.
All right. Thank you so very much for having
Nice.
me. Thank you,
Peace.
everyone, for listening, and be good. Bye.
Peace.